Jared Kushner and Mike Pence were up on the Hill this week. They met with Mitch McConnell. They left. Mitch McConnell picked up the phone and called the president and said, Mr. President, Nancy Pelosi is not going to budge. You've got to do something to shake this up. Just put something on the table. And so this is wholly a proposal from the White House. And that is the problem, however. Just listen to Jerry Nadler, who is the chief Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, and he says point blank, they've got to have more Republican support. We've seen what works in history with Nixon, which was bipartisan, and Clinton, which was very partisan. And Willie, it is so much more extensive than that. Let me explain to you what exactly is going through the president's head with that outburst about investigations. Today, when the House Ways and Means Committee convenes to have its first hearing on taxes, it will officially cross that red line that the president sent about not delving into his personal finances. But what I'm told by Democratic aides who I spoke with yesterday is that the extent of this probe into the president's personal finances is going to be extensive. In that meeting, I'm told by several members who attended, she said that, look, this is not just a case of the president asking a foreign country to dig up dirt on their political opponent, on his political opponent, but to actually manufacture evidence against him, because the Ukrainians have already disputed these charges at the highest level in terms of this prosecutor who was dismissed.
Leading off our discussion tonight, our NBC News correspondent Heidi Przybyla. Heidi broke the report about Democrats focusing on the abuse of power in their articles of impeachment.
Right now, again, we're a snapshot in time, but according to my reporting, the thing that has been decided is the abuse of power narrative, that they will hammer out something on obstruction/contempt of Congress. All we have is history. And when you look at history of these shutdowns, because we've had a lot of them in recent history, the way out of the morass has always been some kind of a temporary agreement. And I believe that if the Democrats were willing to say to the president, we'll give you some portion of the wall, it's, really a semantics, wink, wink.
Really, do you remember when we were in grade school and you messed up on a word and you took out the lumpy whiteout and you lumped it over? You can't do that here, because it's not just one word. It was the entire context of what he said. It was the trashing of institutions. It was also saying that Putin had a great idea to potentially combine our investigation and have Bob Mueller go to Russia to give them information on what his investigation is all about. So I think anybody who watched the president's news conference, which was essentially the entire world, would know that you can't just hit delete on a single word and change the entire tone and context of that news conference.
What do you do?
I think the conventional wisdom has been that you just attack Biden, but that doesn't seem to be working. And so maybe what needs to happen is that second tier field needs to winnow a bit. And that is why possibly you're seeing some of these other candidates like Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, peel off support from Bernie. Because what's happening to Bernie is that his base of support from 2016, which, by the way, was never really as massive as people thought it was, because we were talking about caucus states here. We weren't talking about the Democratic primary vote, but that is now spread out.
But here's her game, okay? 70% of Americans want these witnesses and think these witnesses should testify, including 64% of Republicans. So let me just tell you what Pelosi's strategy here is. I'm not saying she's going to win and she's going to get the witnesses, but what I'm saying is that she's drawing it out so that the public knows full well that these witnesses are being blocked.
Reporting from the halls of Congress, which, as you can hear, are filled with the sounds of holiday cheer. So let's just go with it. Going through this short document, there's two things that they were trying to demonstrate here.
Yeah, wow. Is Nancy Pelosi in a good mood or what? I mean, like, da-hoo, da-re.